The world does not have to be the way it is. Everything in our world today was designed, it's a product of someone's imagination. Someone, and probably someone you wouldn't like very much, imagined everything in society today, down to the architecture, the way buildings look, down to the school system, down to your phone and everything on here, down to the clothes you wear. Everything is a product of someone's imagination. Now, why am I talking about this? Because it does not have to be this way. So, in today's video, I want to talk about how our modern systems are designed for disconnection. They're designed for disconnection from ourselves, from each other, from our planet, and from nature, from God, from spirituality, everything, you know? Especially here in the West. If you look around, most people are not even people. They're like robots. Everyone is glued to their phones. They won't look up. Everyone is, you go get in your car, get to your 9 to 5 job, come home. It's a factory line. School is designed to prepare you to be a slave. And all in all, really, our world is very disconnected and broken, and it's designed to be this way. And I want to speak to this because growing up, I always felt that. I always felt that disillusionment and like something was wrong, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Like, it was just off. And for the longest time, I thought I was crazy. Like, there was something wrong with me, right? Maybe I'm just depressed or anxious. But actually, everyone is depressed and anxious. And actually, it's not normal for everyone to be depressed and anxious, because actually, we live in a world that creates those things and then gives you these like sedatives to try to soothe that. You scroll on social media to try to just get a hit of dopamine, which is really what you want, is reconnection, but it's this fake connection that you've been offered because everything in society is designed to prevent you from just like talking to a stranger and forming real friendships. What else? You can go to the bar, get a drink, and drugs. Those are really easily accessible. What is not easily accessible? Things that bring us closer to ourselves and each other, because those things are not profitable. So, if you're watching this video, I know that you felt this too, in some way or the other. That the way that we are trained to live our lives is not the way we're meant to live them. We're meant to live with the land, with nature. We're meant to live with other people who we love, with our families. We're meant to spend time with them. We're not meant to be these working robots. I just recently got back from a trip to Iran. I was there for a religious pilgrimage with my family, and that experience fundamentally changed the way that I see the world. So, I didn't want to go initially. My family had planned this trip. They kind of like, I guess, like I was going. I kind of said yes, but I knew nothing about it. And to be honest, even as a Muslim from Pakistan, right, I still had this like weird preconception. I was like, what's in Iran? Like the way that the image, right, that America portrays of it is like, it's like these terrorists, like you're forced to wear the hijab, women have no freedom, all of this stuff. So even as someone who's traveled a lot, who's traveled to the Middle East, who is Muslim, I still had this kind of image going into it. So I didn't really want to go. And it didn't help that the moment that we landed, our phones weren't working. So we found out once we got there that like our data doesn't work there. Um, and they had like the worst Wi-Fi everywhere. So I guess, I could still access my phone, but I didn't have data. Also, like without a VPN, you can't access like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all these things. Um, and then I was just like, I don't know, like it felt run down. I was like, and I could come from like the Doha airport, right? Which is like, if you've been, it's like one of the most hi-fi airports ever, like America. So that's not saying on these places. Anyways, but I landed in Iran. I was like, basically, like, I don't know what's happening here. The toilets were weird. A lot of them, I use squatting toilets. Anyway, so it was like confirming my worst fears. That is until I finally went. I started talking to people, right? And I went to the haram. So the haram is like the mosque that's like a shrine for like basically the family members of the prophet. So that's what we were going for. So these, just to kind of paint a picture, and I'll tell you the reason why I'm talking about this, right? These places are so beautifully designed. They're so intricate. Like if you ever seen like Islamic art and architecture, it's like glittering everywhere. It's like spark. It's like the most beautiful design you've ever seen. Um, and the people that I was meeting were so kind. And I immediately, like, I exhaled and I was like, wow, like, I feel like held here. I feel safe. Um, and I mean, the whole purpose was for spiritual pilgrimage. But I think that, like, within a day, of talking to people, our guide for our group, he became really close to me and my brother. He was talking to us about Iran and Islam and just a lot of different topics. And I realized that all of these like consumer comforts that I'm holding on to, Instagram, TikTok, my phone, and like the luxuries of life, right? They're at the end of the day so empty. And I feel like I'm talking about this. I hope this is not cliche. Um, I like am trying to express the depth of this experience because really, it really was so profound because of the fact that I initially didn't want to go. And then over the course of that trip, I had some really incredible, profound moments with my family, really having very honest conversations with them, getting a lot closer to them, especially to my brother and my mom, um, getting so much closer to God, to my faith. And I think what was especially profound was being in this place, right? So Iran, for context, if you go there, not only like you can access your phone if you like get a SIM card. I couldn't because I had an eSIM and there's a whole thing with that. So I like didn't have my phone for most of the trip, which ended up being a very much blessing in disguise. Um, because I was like in the world. But being in the world, I noticed that like around me, no one else was on their phones. Where else do you go in America and not see hundreds, thousands, everyone's on their phone. Everyone's looking down. Where else can you go to some of the most beautiful landmarks in the world and not see people on their phone? Not see people taking pictures, even videos, none of that. I mean, I ended up getting a few like pictures and things, but I was just so present. And it was just something in the air. Um, yeah, you could really feel like the presence of God, of the imams, which, um, not to get into too much context about like Shia history, but um, you could really feel a godliness, a holiness, if I might say, in the air that you rarely find elsewhere, that you rarely find in America at least. And I think beyond that, right? Like people are just so kind and genuine. Also things were like super cheap compared to America. I mean, if you want your dollar to stretch really far, your dollar would be like 1,000,000 reals, and I don't know, like it's fun. It's that was fun too, to be able to like be in a place where prices weren't crazy, or at least like by my standards, right? Like I'm sure living there, you earn salary and reals and everything. But just like that's a small example, but I think that what really, really struck me was the way of life was a lot more in alignment with how we're meant to live. And I also, I think, learned a lot more about Islam. So I grew up Muslim, but I've wavered in my faith a lot. I've gone on a very full circle journey, and I'd love to talk more about that sometime. But I think that so much of my perspective on Islam, similar to my initial perspective on Iran, was co-opted by this American narrative that like women are oppressed, that it's like backwards, it's this and that. And moreover, like in the community, in the Muslim community that I was in, I felt like very judged. I felt um yeah, just kind of like I don't know, I didn't have this I kind of lost touch with it. But I think being there and seeing an Islamic way of life, and I'm not saying that it's perfect, but really experiencing it firsthand in a place like that, in a place that isn't built on greed and corruption, or at least, see, I feel like I struggle to talk about this, but I'm gonna bring this back full circle. Um, it's so refreshing, and I think now being back, I can feel this heaviness in the air that was absent there. And I miss it. I miss it a lot. Because I think one thing that I noticed, right? So it's like after when I was leaving, we landed back in the Doha airport. That's where our layover was. And like I said, the Doha airport is like a very, very luxurious airport. It's like a luxury mall disguised as an airport. Like you will find every single luxury brand to be like a giant Louis V store, Hermes, you name it, right? And it was just funny because like one of the first things I saw was like a picture of Ariana Grande, like an advertisement. I just started laughing, and me and my brother, we both felt it. Like we felt like aliens in in the West. Like we felt like, oh my god, like we hadn't seen any celebrities. We hadn't. I don't know. The vibe was just so different. And if you've traveled, you know what I mean. But I think for a second, I just like looked around and I was like, this is so weird. These people, they act like machines and less like humans. And in Iran, I will say, there's issues. Things are a lot more inefficient than they are here. The Wi-Fi sucks in a lot of places. It's just less advanced, but it's so much more human. And I was like, oh my god, people here are machines. They're not human. And I haven't been able to shake that feeling since I've been back. Um, I've always been very sensitive to my environment. I've always felt kind of dissonant here, but I like can feel the heaviness in the air because I know it doesn't have to be this way. And I guess like back to the point where I started of the world doesn't have to be this way. I tell this story because I I think that being there, I really firsthand experienced the world if it were more human. I'm not even going to say the world as it was meant to be, because I think that every culture and every place is so beautiful, but a world that was designed for humanity. And I think that that is something that I have been craving my whole life, and it's something that I have dedicated my life to. I've dedicated my life to the mission of creating that, of creating a more human, connected world. I built a brand called Connected with the mission of creating places for authentic connection. And, that brand is evolving. But I'm obsessed with this mission of like, how can we bring back humanity into spaces? Because I know that, I've been very, very lucky in my life. I've experienced a lot of things. I've traveled to a lot of places. I've experienced many of the luxuries that people dream of. I've been very blessed. But I will say that at the end of the day, the thing that I long for more than anything is just human connection. Is just like laughs shared over a cup of tea. There is no luxury in the world truly that can replace that. Um, you will go and you buy like a luxury handbag, and you know what? You'll be happy for a moment. You'll be very happy for a moment, and then it'll just become a thing in your closet. It won't matter. Even experiences. You know what I love, and I will say, I don't know if it's hypocritical, but I will say I love luxury experiences. I want them in my life. I want more of them in my life. Um, but I mean, like, there's nothing that compares to just real connection with yourself and others. And I think that I spent my entire life like chasing that almost because I felt the lack of it. Um, and I guess like to my point, it doesn't have to be this way. The world can be kinder. It can be more honest, more free. I think something I really study is the architecture of disconnection. And this idea I'm obsessed with is that everything in our world is designed for disconnection, like I was talking about at the beginning. And I mean, my theory is that it's intentional. Disconnection really advances the interests of capitalists. It creates a lot of money. You hate yourself, now you're gonna buy a lot of things. You're gonna buy a lot of clothes and makeup and things to make yourself fill this void that is never gonna be filled. It's never gonna be filled. You are lonely. Oh, okay, you know what? Instead of like having places where we can go to gather with our friends and family, you can go and like get drunk at the bar, and you can go and scroll endlessly on social media and get hits of dopamine, because we can't have you really connect with other people because that won't advance the interest of capitalists. You know what is Netflix's biggest competitor? You know what's Instagram's biggest competitor? Your friends, your sleep, your family. We live in a world that is designed to keep you chasing and chasing and chasing and never feeling like you're enough, making you think you never have enough. You know what? The world has enough resources to feed and clothe everyone in abundance. Why are there billions of people who are hungry? Why are there like 10 people who have like trillions of dollars? And those people are not happy. If you think that the top 0.01% of people are happy, they're not. Because if they were happy, they wouldn't be making the decisions that they're making. Happy people don't actively threaten the health and happiness of all of society. They really don't. Happy people want other people to be happy. It's actually simple. The thing is, everything in our world is designed for capitalist gains, profits, consumer interests. And I am not even saying that capitalism is the worst and that we should. I am saying the system is the worst. I think that everything in our system is created to make you feel isolated, to make you feel self-hatred, to make you feel disconnected, to make you feel spiritually bankrupt. Because if you feel because those feelings are actually very beneficial for profits. They're really good for the bottom line. They don't want you to be happy and healthy, because healthy people don't go to hospitals and spend tens of thousands of dollars and go into debt for drugs for pharmaceuticals. They don't. Mentally healthy people don't. They anyways, I could keep going to this. I think that, so many of us know that this world is bad. I could harp on this, but I think this is not the thing that I want to talk about. What I really want to talk about is that we can create a better world. We can create a world that benefits us, that reconnects us to each other, to our land, to ourselves. I brought up my trip to Iran because that was an experience that showed me that it actually is really simple, that it actually can be that way. And yet it feels so difficult to get us from where we are today in our third society, at least in the Western society, that it's seeped in everywhere, to the way that we really want to live. Because I think I am not the only one with this dream. I am not the only one with a dream for a more connected world. I'm not the only one with a dream for a more loving world. I am not the only one who wants a life where I can spend it with the people I love, where I can be in nature, where I can feel at peace, where I can raise a family knowing that they that they're entering a world where they'll be safe and held. And I don't think that it's impossible, but I do think that it's really hard, because every system in our world was designed to keep you in a mental prison. It's designed to keep you in a box. And as long as you stay in that mental prison and everyone else stays in that mental prison, they will never look outside of it. They will paint places like Iran as the bad guy any day, because they have to do that. Because they have to pretend like they are the greatest in the world. Guess what? We're really backwards. We're really backwards. We are in 2025. It's almost 2026. And we live in the most backwards time ever. I thought that it's like we're so advanced at this time. They act like we have all these technologies. Look around. We're so hopelessly disconnected and isolated. And it's not just you. everyone feels this way. It's systemic. It's a plague. This is the real pandemic, yo. It's always been. Disconnection and isolation have always been the real pandemic. The real virus. But yeah, it doesn't have to be this way. And I am on a mission to build a counter system to these systems of disconnection. I'm on a mission to do this. I'll be opening up more community spaces. I've been working on organizing spaces for authentic connection. And I'll be opening up more soon. Hopefully like an online membership thing. So if you are interested, please follow along. You can follow me here on Instagram. I also do one-on-one sessions to help you step into your highest alignment and commune with your highest self. I love doing those. Like I really, yeah. I think that the more people that are able to live their own truths and be in their own authenticity, the better our world can be. And it's a ripple effect. It's one person at a time, but we all create ripples. So, if I can create a ripple that touches even one person, I think I did my job. So, yeah. But beyond that, I want to create a world that is different than the one we've been living in. It's the one that I've always wanted to live in. Anyways, if you watched till the end, please leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. Leave an emoji. I don't know anything. And I just leave like leave a heart emoji if you watched till the end, and leave your thoughts. But anyways, thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to build the world anew, because as much as I'll talk about these things till my death day, till my dying day, I am very hopeful. And I think that right now in these times we're rebuilding and more people are waking up and we're rebuilding a new world. And I want to be part of that. I want to lead that charge. So if you're with me on that, follow along. Till then, I love you and bye.